Good morning, boys and girls. Joe back with another story time. Yes, indeedy do. Today is more poetry coming at you. Cool. So let's begin off with a little bit of Shel Silverstein. So this is from A Light in the Attic with poems and drawings by Shel Silverstein. I don't know which I like more in this, the poems or the drawings. They're both really, really cool. Pretty much every poem in here is going to be really funny. Okay. Here's the picture that goes with this one. Here's the little drawing that goes with this one. It's really, really funny. just the drawing itself is really funny. Like there's a girl's lifting up a cow, and I think that the poem makes it even funnier. Check it out. And the poem is called Shaking. Geraldine, now, stop shaking that cow. For heaven's sake! For your sake and for the cow's sake. That's the dumbest way I've ever seen to make a milkshake. She wanted a milkshake, so she thought, I just need to shake the cow. It's very clever. Very, very funny. Okay. And this one doesn't really have a picture that goes with it. It's called Here Comes. Here comes summer, here comes summer. Chirping robins, budding rose. Here comes summer, here comes summer. Gently showers, summer clothes. Here comes summer, here comes summer. Whoosh! Shiver! There it goes. It's pretty cool. It's like, here comes summer. Here's all the stuff we're going to wear. We're all happy about summer. But summer goes by so quickly. And here's one. This one's called Rockabye. And a lot of times, poetry, or these little nursery rhyme sort of things, they'll go based upon something that you already know. So what they'll do is they'll take a little lyric or a little poem or something that you already know, and then they'll change it up to make it funny, or they'll change it up to say something about it. So with this one, a Rockabye, it's going on that old rockabye baby in a treetop. It's going upon that one that you've heard before. You might have heard your mom do it, or your big person do it with the sibling, or you might have seen it on TV. Here, rockabye baby in a treetop. Don't you know a treetop is no safe place to rock? So they're rocking the baby like, why are you doing it in a treetop? And who put you up there and your cradle too? Baby, I think someone down here has got it in for you. Yeah, if you think about it, the original poem doesn't make much sense. Why are they doing it in a treetop? Who knows? It doesn't make much sense at all. But it's really funny to make some sort of little poem to ask these questions. Okay. Oh, I like this one. You're going to like this one too. This one is called Have Fun. It's safe to swim in Primrose Park. I guarantee there are no sharks. But look, there's a huge octopus. This one, the little poem by itself, it's okay. But if you do the poem with the picture, that's where the joke is. That's where the funny thing is. That's the cool thing about Shel Silverstein, is that he does these little drawings and the pictures. They work really well together. And I wanted to do a few little poems and talk a little bit about Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. So in Alice in Wonderland, you might have seen the movie, or you might have even read different versions of the book. There's a lot of poetry in this book. The first little poem in here that I found that I like, it's really funny. So it's how doth the little crocodile improve his shining tail and pour the waters of the Nile on each and every scale. How cheerfully he seems to grin, how neatly he spreads his claws to welcome little fishies in with gently smiling jaws. That's pretty cool. And there's another one in here that begins off like a poem, and then it just sort of strays off into just being kind of just almost nonsense. And here's what it looks like. So the mouse's tail. And I'll show you a bigger version of it. So it's the same thing. It is, whenever you look at it on the page, it looks like this. So it looks like a mouse's tail. That's what's cool. Poetry can look all sorts of crazy different ways. It just doesn't have to be like 5 lines like a limerick or something like that. It can be all sorts of different things. So this one, the cool thing about this one, the poem itself is okay, but the cool thing about it is that it has a shape to it. Cool, I'll read it. Furry said to a mouse that he met in the house, "Let us both go to law. I will prosecute you. Come, I'll take no denial. We must have a trial. For, really, this morning I've got nothing to do," said the mouse to the cur. "Such a sweet trial, dear sir, and no jury, no judge would be wasting our breath. I'll be the judge, I'll be the jury, I'll be the cunning old furry. I'll try the whole cause." It gets really, really little, so it's hard to read. "I'll try the whole cause and condemn you." Then I can't even read. It gets so small you can't even read what it says. But the cool thing about this one is it's a poem that's in the shape of a mouse's tail. So, what I did after I saw that, I thought, hey, wouldn't it be cool to have a poem in the shape of something else? So I made a poem. I made this poem several years ago. This poem is about a bunk bed. And look, it looks like a bunk bed. You can see, so here's the top bunk, here's the sides of it, here's the bottom bunk. And this poem, the cool thing about it also is that I put the words in it referring to certain parts of the bunk bed. I'll read it to you. You'll see what I mean. When I was a kid, I had a big blue bunk bed. The top bunk was a launching pad for Superman. And whenever I say the top bunk, I begin right here on the top bunk. It was a bed for Paddington Bear, Oscar the Grouch, and a blue Jokey Smurf. It was the site of many earthquakes from the bottom bunks. The sides were often used as a crazy jungle gym. It was where my radio hung. So on the sides, that part of it, I made it look like the sides right there. And you'll notice something about this poem. It doesn't rhyme. Not every poem has to rhyme. The bottom bunk, right here. The bottom bunk is where I slept. I like to put blankets over the sides and pretend that it was a dark tent. I shared this bunk with a friendly green glowworm. I had Peanuts gang sheets. And now we're going to get to below the bunk. This part will be below there. Below the bed is where I kept all of my G.I. Joes and He-Man. Cool. So this poem is shaped like a bunk bed. And on the parts of it that talk about that part of the bunk bed, it's on this part of the bunk bed. It's kind of cool. I thought I would share it with you. And I'll share another poem with you. So this other poem is out of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. So out of Alice in Wonderland. And this poem, I said sometimes, whenever we were talking about the Shel Silverstein poem, sometimes poems require for you to know another poem for them to make sense. This is one of those. So you might have heard of the poem before, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. It's twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder where you are, up above the sky so high, like a diamond in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. So that's the original poem. And in Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, she meets the Mad Hatter. He's a crazy guy, and he likes to recite poetry too. But he recites poetry and he gets it wrong. He just does all sorts of, just makes all sorts of crazy sounding stuff. And this is one of his points. Instead of twinkle, twinkle, little star, he does twinkle, twinkle, little bat. Cool. Here. So twinkle, twinkle, little bat, how I wonder what you're at. Up above the world you fly, like a tea tray in the sky. That doesn't make any sense. Twinkle, twinkle, little bat, how I wonder what you're at. It's kind of crazy, but that's why I like it, because it's crazy. Poetry doesn't have to make sense all the time. Poetry is about making you have a feeling. But this one, I laughed whenever I heard this. I thought, oh, that's really funny. That's really kind of out there. I hope you liked it too. Cool. So let's talk about the crafts. Speaking of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Bat, Miss Peggy made a little bat. Check it out. She did a really good job. So what she did is she took a couple of pieces of construction paper. So you can tell by the bat, she took a piece of construction paper that was a big circle, and this right here, this is another circle. She just cut this all out of one piece. And here's some ears. So with this one, it's good to draw it out first. And then she took her hands and made handprints. So she made handprints right here. You can tell. It's kind of like that. So she made little handprints right there. She traced her hands and she glued them onto the bat. So this one is a handprint bat. And she just made some little feet for it, and she drew this stuff to make it sort of stand out more, to make it look like a bat. And then she just took a little bitty chalk, little bitty piece of, like, we have a chalk marker that we write stuff on the bookstore, and she made a smile. I like his smile. I like all of his teeth. And she did a little heart sticker and some googly eyes. And there you go. She made her own cool bat. And she asked me, Joe, I'm going to make a bat. Do you want a black bat or do you want a brown bat? I said, why not do a brown bat? Most of the bats you see are black. I thought it'd be cool to have one that's a little bit different. So Miss Peggy made this, and she also made us a pelican. Oh yes, because we are going to be reading Pelican Chorus next. So this is a paper plate pelican. That's really hard to say. This is a pretty paper plate pelican. It's all a pop, 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 pop. It's kind of like, remember last time we did that Peter Piper picks pickled peppers? It's kind of like that. This is a pretty paper plate pelican. So what she did is she took a paper plate and she folded it in half, and then she taped it up, and then she took another paper plate and she just cut off the side of it to make the tail. And she took another part of a paper plate right here, and to be able to make the neck, and she took another part of the paper plate right here. She just cut a big circle, she added a googly eye, and this is the center of a paper plate right here. You can tell here, and she took the center out of it, she made a circle, and then she folded that in half too. And then all she did was she just colored it orange, and she did the same thing with these, the leftover pieces of paper plate. She made some little feet with. I think it's really cool. I think she did a really good job. And you can make a tiger. Cool. So next time we will still be doing poetry. So I'll be reading a couple of poems, and I'll also be reading a couple of Dr. Seuss books because they rhyme. I'll be reading The Cat in the Hat Comes Back. And I'll also be reading Dr. Seuss's Book of Animals. I think you guys are going to like these. Cool. Now, let's get started with the Pelican Chorus. So book, this book has 3 different poems in it. We're just going to read one of them. And it's by Edward Lear. He was a guy who wrote lots of these crazy poems back in a long time ago. He lived around the same time as Lewis Carroll, the guy that wrote Alice in Wonderland. And they both like to write crazy stuff. And it's illustrated by Fred Marciano. And here's what the cover looks like. And here's what the back of it looks like. Look, there's a monkey! And he's wearing a hat. Cool. I knew that we were going to be doing poetry this month, so I wanted to order some special books to read to you. I thought, I really like this guy's poetry because it's kind of crazy, it's kind of weird, and I really like the drawings in this book. So I got it special to show you guys. And here's what the first page looks like. King and queen of the pelicans we, no other birds so grand we see. None but we have feet like fins, with lovely leathery throats and chins. So this is a queen and the king of the pelicans. Pluskin, pelican G. We think no birds as happy as we. Plumpskin, pelican Jill. We think so then, and we thought so still. This is cool because they add a couple of words in here. These words don't make sense. These words it's just the fun of saying these weird sounding words in your mouth. What is a plofskin? What is a pluffskin? I don't know, but they're fun to say. We live on the Nile we love. By night we sleep on the cliffs above. By day we fish, at eve we stand on long bare islands of yellow sand. So look at this. These are some fancy pelicans. What do you think? Look, she has an umbrella. They're all dressed up in these cool Victorian outfits. Look, that pelican's even rowing a boat. That's pretty cool. And when the sun sinks slowly down and the great rock walls grow dark and brown, where the purple river rolls fast and dim, and the ivory abyss starlight skim, wing to wing we dance around, stamping our feet with a flumpy sound. I like that, a flumpy sound. Opening our mouths as pelicans ought, and this is the song we nightly snort. That's weird. Pluffskin, pelican G. We think no birds as happy as we. Plumpskin, pelican Jill. We think so then, and we thought so still. Yeah. Look at them, they're dancing it up. They're doing some crazy pelican dances. Last year came our daughter Dell, and all the birds received her well. To do her honor, a feast we made for every bird that can swim or wade. So they have a daughter. They had this big party for her. Herons, gulls, and cormorants black, cranes, flamingos, and with scarlet back, plovers, stork, and geese and clouds, swans, dillerby, ducks, and crowds. It's pretty cool. Thousands of birds in wondrous flights, they ate and drank and danced all night, and echoing back from the rocks you heard multitude echoes from bird to bird. So these birds had this big, huge party. They invited every bird around. Plopskin, Pluskin, Pelican G. We think no bird's as happy as we. Plumpskin, Ploshkin, Pelican Jill. We think so then, and we think so still. I just love these pictures. These pictures are just so cool. Yes, they came, and among the rest, the king of cranes, all grandly dressed. Such a lovely tail, its feathers float between the ends of his blue dress coat. Check him out, he's looking pretty cool. With pea green trousers, all so neat, and delicate frill to hide his feet. For, though no one speaks of it, everyone knows he has got no web between his toes. As soon as our daughter Dell, in violent love with that crane king fell. No, okay. As soon as he saw our daughter Dell, in violent love that king crane fell. On seeing her waddling form so fair, with wreaths of shrimp in her short white hair. He saw her waddle. He saw the cool shrimps in her hair. He's like, that girl's pretty cute. And before the end of the next long day, Ardell had given her heart away. For the king of cranes had won that heart with a crocodile's egg and large fish tart. So he made her something to eat. Made her a crocodile's egg. Look at that. Wonder what that tastes like. This poem is so weird. I like it. She vowed to marry the king of cranes, leave the Nile for stranger plains. And away they flew in a gathering crowd of endless birds in a lengthening cloud. So all the birds went to wish them farewell. Ploskin, Pluskin, Pelican G. We think no bird's as happy as we. Plumpskin, Ploshkin, Pelican Jill. We think so then, and we thought so still. And far away in the twilight sky, we heard them singing a lessening cry. Farther and farther, till out of sight, and we stood alone in the silent night. There they are. Their daughter went off and got married. Often since, in the nights of June, we sit on the sand and watch the moon. She has gone to the greater Gromboline plain, and we probably shall never see her again. They're very, very sad. They're missing their daughter. Like, oh, I don't know if we'll ever see her again. Of course they'll see her again, but they're really sad. Oft, in the long, still nights of June, we sit on the rocks and watch the moon. She dwells by the streams of Chankly Bore, and we probably shall see her no more. They're really down. They're really sad. Plofskin, Pluffskin, Pelican G. We think no bird's as happy as we. Look, they got a letter from her. They're really, really happy now. Plofskin, Pluskin, Pelican Jill. We think so then, and we thought so still. Look, she came back, and her new dude, they got a baby. They're so happy now. Cool. Wasn't that a wild poem? Wasn't that poem just really weird and all that ploskin, puffskin, pelicans? I really like this book because it feels funny to say. That's the cool thing about poems, is that poems They can do all sorts of things. They can look a different way. They can sound a different way. Sometimes they make sense, like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. And sometimes they don't make any sense. But it doesn't matter. It's all about having fun with it. Cool. Thank you very much for joining me for story time. And please join me next time whenever I read The Cat in the Hat Comes Back and I read Dr. Seuss's Book of Animals. We'll have a good time. We'll read these and we'll read some more poetry. We'll have a cool time. Thank you very much for joining me. And until next time, just keep reading. See you later. Bye-bye.